Good evening, everyone. After a few side quests, we are finally back with the High Guardian Spice redesigns. But just not any redesigns today, because we are finally have reached our story's main villains. Today we will focus on Olive and Mandrake, redesigning their characters and talking about how I'll be changing them in my upcoming rewrite. That, yes, is still going to happen. I think you'll find both of my rewritten villains to be very interesting because I have completely turned them around from their originals, especially Mandrake. The two main villains that High Guardian Spice has are so generic, stereotypical, and contradictive. Olive in her redemption arc doesn't make any sense at all, and her morals are so high in the air that nobody really knows what they are. And Mandrake is literally just a murder stab villain that can be fun, but just not when the writers want us to actually take him seriously. So let's get right into the redesigns and fix a few things. Since Mandrake is like a final boss in the show, it only makes sense that we save him for last and work on Olive first. A quick rundown of her character. Olive is a spy/assassin sent by the Triumvirate, which are the biggest big bads in the show, to spy on/eventually kill the main four. For the first half of the show, she is seen in the background in her cat form because Olive has the ability to transform into a cat, and also appears to have the ability to speak to cats as well, but this isn't officially confirmed as far as I can remember. I have a lot to say on her role and character arc through the story, so let's get her actual redesign out of the way first. So, Olive's original design is just a magical girl. A bit of an odd choice, even in the high fantasy setting like this. Everyone else is wearing tunics and cloaks, but she's just in a poofed out one-piece dress. She's from which country, I think, so maybe that's just how people from there dress? But I have my doubts considering the other two people from there don't dress like that. It would be one thing if she wore normal clothes, but something so standoutish like this when she's supposed to go under the radar is really weird. I'll tell you what I think is the reasoning behind a decision like this though. The creator is a fan of some anime show that has to do with magical girls or cat girls and wanted to add that into their own story. And hey, there's nothing wrong with getting inspired and wanting to add something like that to your own work if it really does inspire you, but it has to make sense for the story you're creating. If they really wanted Olive to wear a dress like this, they should have given her a reason, like being sent on this mission so sudden that she didn't have time to get the clothes that matched what the people here wore. Or maybe since she would be in her cat form for most of the time, she didn't think her human clothes would matter. Just a little in-story explanation would have been nice. But let's take a look at my Olive's design. I decided to go for a kind of classical ninja look, and I know that spies are supposed to go under the radar and dressing like this would turn some heads, but in the high fantasy world the story is set in, I don't think outfits like that are all that uncommon. Time wears a mysterious cloak in the show as well as a handful of background characters, so I think Olive would fit right in wearing this. I tried to keep it simple, stylish, and practical. With how loose her shirt is, I can see her hiding stuff in the folds and sneaking them into wherever she needs to go. Olive is definitely the type of girl who would want to stick to her own style though, so little things like the pointy collared shirt under her uniform and the strings on her belt are things that she would have added herself. In her line of work, you obviously don't get to wear what you want, but she would definitely make these little changes so small that her bosses don't care, but makes her feel pretty and herself. I also fixed her cat ear anatomy because, I'm sorry, I know the cat ears on top of the head look cute, but you would have to rearrange the entire inside of her head for them to work as actual ears. I did fluff up her tail though. She just seems like a fluffy cat sort of cat person. You know? Because, I mean, one of her own cats is really fluffy, and it was coincidentally that cat that she suspected might have been her dad for that one joke. So Fluffy must clearly run in the family, and she needed some. Speaking of fluff, I also grew out her hair. The bob in the original might have worked better if it was just a tad longer and didn't fly up in the back like that. Her hair would look wild on a real person. And with how my design was turning out, I think longer hair was more called for. All in all, I don't think there's really much more for me to talk about her new design, other than I love it to death. She is seriously so pretty, I cannot wait to draw more of her for the rewrite. But now we need to talk about her character for said rewrite, and I do have a lot more for that selection. Now, it's been a hot moment since I've watched the show for any reason, so if I'm getting something wrong, tell me. But I don't think there's really a reason for Olive to be at the school to spy on the girls in the first place. When she knows about the riot, then she has something to do. But before that, she's kind of just there with no known goal. My best guess is that Rose's mom probably knew that her child was going to the school and wanted Olive sent there so she could keep an eye on her, but that only makes sense in the first half when Olive was really just watching them, because after they learn about the riot, she gets orders from the smoke ghost to kill the girls. So either Rose's mom didn't know about that order, or she just didn't care, or she never sent Olive to spy on her daughter in the first place. It's also confusing, and the reason why Olive's there is a complete mystery as far as I can remember. I fixed this in my rewrite. We will learn the reason why Olive's at the school in the first place, though more towards the season 1 finale. I'll also be giving her a background and a backstory to how she even ended up becoming a spy for the Triumvirate, which is something we never learned in the show, but to give them credit this time, there really wasn't much room for an Olive backstory, and it might have been planned for the season 2 we never got. For my second complaint, I need to talk about her redemption arc. And you couldn't see it, but I made finger quotas while saying that. So the show does try to give her a redemption arc, which many writers will know is something incredibly hard to do. It would have been a miracle from God himself if this show managed to pull it off. But they didn't, obviously. The main factor in this failed arc is that Olive didn't have nearly as much screen time for the transition from villain to hero to happen smoothly, which makes sense considering this is an 11-episode series, 12-episode series, where she was believed to be a cat for half the runtime. They try to make her switch to the good side more believable by having her hesitate to kill the girls when told. She instead tries blackmailing them into coming with her, then turns them to stone, tries to anyway, with a reversible spell so she could take them to her bosses so they can do it themselves. Many people have said that this doesn't really make sense, at least for the villain to hero arc, because the show is making it seem like she doesn't want to kill anyone, but in a way, she is still killing them. If she takes them to her bosses, they'll kill them, so technically she would still have responsibility for their deaths. She doesn't not want them to die, she just doesn't want to do it herself, and that makes her look more like a spineless coward instead of somebody with having a moral dilemma. Her being a coward could also explain why she switched sides in the final battle. She still didn't want to get blood on her hands and potentially face harsher consequences later if she got caught. So she stabbed Mandrake instead to make herself less of a villain and hopefully get a lighter sentence later. The show writers really wanted to write a character that saw the error in her ways and made the right decision at the last minute, but ended up writing a villainous coward only looking out for herself. And this leads us to what my Olive will be like in the rewrite. Now, she's going to follow the original's footsteps in that she doesn't want to kill people but still tries to do what she's told, but there will be a better explanation for this. But it is supposed to be saved for a character reveal in the story, so I can't say much of it here without ruining the moment for the rewrite. But rest assured, there is a good reason for what she does now and why her morals are like the way they are. I can't really talk about Olive too much because all the really interesting stuff would be a spoiler. One thing I can talk about and give hints to is her powers. Like I said before, she can transform into a cat and maybe talk to cats as well. In my rewrite, Olive will have both of these powers again, but unlike in the show, they aren't just there. There's something about them that makes her special. In my world, these cat people species that I'll look up an official name for later, but these cat people can be born with abilities, though not all of them. Getting a cat-related power at birth is super rare, and getting 2 like Olive is incredibly rare. Dangerously rare, because in this world, rare people like Olive get the wrong kind of attention. There is a whole black market that buys and sells kidnapped people who are extraordinary, powerful, or rare. From collectors to people looking for henchmen, a girl like Olive is a prime example of a person a lot of sellers would want to get their hands on. Even with the Guardians trying to shut it down, it's still a very real threat to anyone unlucky enough to be born gifted. Though there is one way you can guarantee you not getting kidnapped and sold to the black market, and that is if you were to join the market yourself and you sell yourself as a henchman for hire, an assassin for hire, a thief for hire, whatever the customer wants at the time. It is a known fact that if you join the black market yourself, there's a kind of unspoken rule in place that the other sellers can't touch you because you're one of them. They can only rent out your services. Olive has made her rounds in the black market, but willingly or not is something you'll have to find out for yourself.
How about you all come with me, willingly? I'll introduce you to the triumvirate. We'll eat some cake, have a chat, and when we're done, I'll give you back the vial.
We're not going anywhere with you!
No? No use clinging to false hope, then.
I wasn't able to talk about Olive much, and Mandrake is even worse. I've changed everything. His motive, his goal, his mission style, even his background and personality. I can't even give a single detail about his role in the story because I really want him to be a surprise. I guess I can talk about his personality and maybe a little bit about his mission style, but first I need to talk about his design and my new one for him. So for his original design, there isn't much to say on it. There isn't much I particularly like or hate about it except for his hair shape. I go for something similar, but at least I tried to make it follow a cleaner pattern. His is just a little too all over the place. Other than that, everything else is just a generic bad guy clothes and stuff. But I do have to say it was an interesting choice to make his hair pink like the main character though. When I watched the show for the first time, the moment I saw his hair, I immediately thought he was going to be like Rose's long lost brother or something. Maybe her mom had another kid after she went missing. I convinced myself that this was true so hard that learning that it wasn't was genuinely the most disappointing thing about the show for me. So his looks are generic, but what about his character? Well, we don't see him for long. He's only present in the final episode and then gets sent to the damn guillotine after the credits. So yeah, don't think we were ever going to see him in the non-existent season 2. Which is a shame. I do have a soft spot for overly edgy characters. But if we did get a season 2, I think people would be happy to know that he wouldn't be in it because as a villain, he just genuinely sucks at it. Not even my love for him could overlook that. Before the mission starts, he says they need to be sneaky or whatever, but then goes through the most intention-obvious plan he could think of. When he's disguised as Rose's mom and is about to kill her, but stops when she mentions one of the teachers knows about the rot, and then doesn't try to kill her again, tries to lure all the students into a room to kill them, including the girls, using the voice of the teacher they just saw him disguised as, and also contradicts what said teacher told the girls not to do. He trusts Olive to stab one of the girls right after she hesitated about the whole killing thing again, and that's how he got himself stabbed. There are many other things about his plan that are just so ass, but some of them require detail, so I'll save you from the rant. There are plenty of other videos on YouTube that can do that for me. For my Mandrake, he goes about things completely differently. He plays it quiet and in the background until more direct action is needed. He is also going to be on screen for a lot longer, but just someone in the background. A few lines of dialogue here and there, but for the most part, he's just an unassuming background character. And that finally brings us to why his clothes look so odd here. He'll definitely get a villain upgrade in later seasons, but for now, a simple sweater designed after the first outfit we saw him in, and simple black pants and such will do for now. He doesn't need to stand out or be loud, he just needs to be there for now.
I'm shocked you're still alive.
And I'm not shocked you're as ugly as ever.
Oh, I think I'm adorable. What a cute little kitty. Can I break its neck?
Since I can't say anything more about him or Olive, I guess this is where the video ends. It's been so long since I recorded, it feels really weird to be here again, but whatever. I'm sure the audio's ass, like usual. I hope you liked my redesigns though, and look forward to the next ones. It will either be redesigns of the teachers or Rose's mom, so do tell me in the comments which ones you would like to see first. I will say though, if you do pick Rose's mom, I will probably include an original villain character that I will be adding into the rewrite, so keep that in mind when you want to pick. But for now, God bless and good night.